You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, my God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Morning all, and welcome to Freedom, Health and Lifestyle. And of course, Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, personal development with a business plan. And we're going to get into something today, but this is episode 141, How the Devil Controls Most People's Minds. We've got a short video by Napoleon Hill, and I'm looking forward to it, right? Because I'm wondering how it controls my mind. In fact, I kind of know, what I can be doing better. And this is what this show's all about, right? It's all about thinking and doing better, which is why this is going to be really good. It's going to be good for me. I don't know what it's going to be like for you. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, share the notification. I'm using a new thing here, look. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click that notification button. You'll learn when we're on, usually around about the same time every week. Now, it's normally around this stage. It's normally around this time when I introduce my good friend, Joye, the $1 Million Difference Maker, Maka Unga. But Joey's not going to be with us today, right? Because he's returning back from army training. And, look, you can't burn the candle at both ends, right? Sometimes you just can't be everywhere all of the time. But look, Joey, we love you. We miss you. And we'll see you again soon, for sure. But look, we're going to get into this, right? So we've got this. Look, I should show you, actually. Let me have a look. Hold on. Yeah, we should really show you. So obviously, this is where you can find Joey, right? So, you know, you can find him on Facebook. Again, you can learn all about what he's doing. He's a great guy. He's doing all sorts of stuff. He's brilliant, right? So go and check him out on Facebook. You can find him at facebook.com/Joye.Unga. And of course, you can also find him here on his business site, right? And of course, you know it's Joey's business site because it says Joey's name at the top. And again, you can learn more about what he's doing in the health and wellness space. And again, scroll down to the bottom of the page. You'll see a contact form. If you want to reach out to Joey, get in touch. All you need is your name, your best email, phone number, and a good time for Joey to give you a call. Press submit, and of course, Joey will reach out to you, and you can let him know what it is that you're interested in. Of course, if you're looking to try and find me, best place to find me is on my petsoftheisland.com/academy site, where we're teaching people how to start their own pet care companies. Of course, you can book a call here with me by clicking on the book a call button. This will bring you to a Calendly website where you can choose a good time and day for me to reach out to you. And of course, we can do a WhatsApp video call or even a Zoom call, whatever, you know, because I love seeing people, right? That's what we want to do. We want to see people. And trust me, you know, if it's not right for you, I'll be the first to tell you, as would Joey. Now, this is what we're going to get into here, right? We're going to get into this little video. Hold on a second. There's definitely something wrong. I don't know whether it's my screen or something keeps changing here. But anyway, right. Let me see. Yep. So we've got all of that. You know where to find us. Oh, I should have showed you there. Look, petsoftheisland.com/academy. That's where you can find me. Now, obviously, we're not going to get any final thoughts from Joey today, which is a shame. I love hearing Joey's final thoughts because they're so good. Right, let's get into this. We want to hear what this guy's got to say, right? So this is how the devil controls most people's minds. Short video by Napoleon Hill. I don't know whether we'll get through all of it, but let's have a listen.
I'm going to tell you something the world doesn't want you to know. I'm going to reveal to you the invisible system by which millions of men and
Kind of feeling a little bit scared already.
women are enslaved every single day. And I am not speaking metaphorically. I am speaking precisely, scientifically, spiritually, and most of all, truthfully. There is a force in this world, a sinister intelligence that works ceaselessly to steal your thoughts, capture your emotions, weaken your will, and ultimately destroy the life you could have lived. I call this force the devil, not the creature of fire and horns from folklore, but a real psychological and spiritual phenomenon. A consciousness of fear, confusion, addiction, and passivity that manipulates and governs the masses under the disguise of culture, comfort, and conformity. This devil has one supreme method of domination, and that is drift. Now listen carefully, because if you understand drift, you will begin to understand why so many people, even those with talent, intelligence, and good intentions, end up failures. Drift is the devil's method of mental control. Drift is what happens when a man does not take possession of his own mind. Drift is when he allows his thoughts to be shaped by outside influences. Drift is when he moves through life by habit, by impulse, by fear, without purpose, without plan, without intention. Drifting is not laziness. It is far more dangerous than that. Laziness is obvious. But drifting wears the mask of normal life. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you scroll through noise, you repeat. And in all that motion, you are not moving toward anything. You are merely existing, operating under the devil's silent guidance.
Now, we have heard that before, haven't we? Eat, sleep, work, repeat. And we do that. We do that. Do you want to do it? I don't know whether you do or not. You know? Like, are we doing what we want, or are we doing what someone else thinks we should be doing. I don't know. It is challenging, you know. Like I had said before, you know, that life is all about moments, you know, like you have these moments, then you get distractions, and then it's what happens in the next 5 minutes. You know, do you get back into that intentional thing that you want to be doing, or do you get distracted by that thing and just, you know, go off in a different tangent and you lose, you know, hours or days or even weeks? Yeah, I've done it. I think we've all done it.
This is how the devil wins. He doesn't need to shout. He only needs you to stop thinking. He doesn't need to frighten you. He only needs you to live without vision. He doesn't need to trap you. He only needs you to become addicted to comfort and indifferent to growth. The devil controls people by teaching them to fear failure, to fear criticism, to fear poverty, to fear what others will think. Once fear takes root,
I think that can be true, can't it? You know that. You know, we often, excuse me, we often spend too much time wondering what other people are going to think, or do we even spend any time? We just kind of instinctively know that we don't want to do it because other people are going to, you know, cut us down. They're going to, you know, tell us we shouldn't do it, we can't do it. You know, like I think, you know, sometimes we do surround ourselves with dream stealers, when really what we want is, you know, we want to be able to do those things that we want to do. We want to encourage ourselves, inspire ourselves to do it. Damn. Like, this is going to be dark. I can feel it once fear takes root. Yeah. It's going to be dark. It's going to be dark.
in a mind, it begins to self-regulate. The devil no longer has to speak directly. The man will sabotage himself. He will stop before he begins. He will shrink before he grows. He will hesitate instead of decide. Fear is the devil's atmosphere. Drift is his method. But he has many tools. He uses habit. If a man wakes up and immediately surrenders his attention to distraction, if he eats without thought, speaks without aim, listens without discernment, then the devil smiles. Because that man is shaping his own prison cell. He uses schooling. You may find this offensive, but truth cares little for comfort. Most schools are designed to condition obedience, not thought, to reward compliance, not creativity, to standardize the mind, not to liberate it. A child with curiosity is often labeled disruptive. A student...
Interesting, you know, because Joye has talked about this a lot over the last couple of weeks, where he's talked about, you know, education. He's talked about self-education and the importance of continual learning. But he's also talked about schools, or the school or the education system, and how it doesn't teach you how to think. It just teaches you what to think, which again can be upsetting. It can. I think it can be, because, you know, we are controlled from an early age, aren't we? You know, on how the mind is developed. And it's fascinating, I think. And he was talking a moment ago about surrendering to distraction and, you know, waiting. I had said something a couple of weeks ago, but sometimes you have to wait. You do. Sometimes you have to wait. And I'm in a process now where I'm waiting, you know, for something to happen, when really I should make something happen, shouldn't I? Right? I should probably make something happen. Because if I'm waiting is still doing something. Doing nothing is still doing something. But, you know, like I really need to. It's not that I really need to. I should take action, right? Even if it's a different action to get what I want. Like I shouldn't wait. Yeah, I think so far it's helped me just to make a decision already that I need to take some action. Instead of waiting for what I want to happen, I should make what I want happen. God, this stuff drives me insane. Do you know that?
Who questions the system is considered a problem. And so from the very beginning, the devil trains men and women to trade their individuality for approval. He uses religion. Yes, even the systems meant to connect man to truth can be twisted. When faith becomes fear-based dogma, when it is used to guilt and shame, when it teaches men that suffering is holiness and thinking is rebellion, then the devil walks proudly in sacred halls. He uses media, constant noise, opinions without substance, scandals, division, trivialities, endless waves of fear, conflict, and desire. Why?
Unit ready.
Look at this. Why is it showing me this? It's taking it.
Battle control online.
I've been programmed in.
Because a distracted mind is a drifting mind.
I do
A
wonder.
man who is addicted to stimulation.
I do wonder sometimes, but the stuff that they put in front of us is programming. Why, Joey's off at army training. All I can see now is, army stuff that's being shown to me in ads. I know it's gameplay, but why is it showing me all this? Damn! Damn Napoleon Hill. Not really. I'm saying, damn Napoleon Hill. Why are you telling me this?
Cannot hear the still small voice of his own conscience. And most cleverly, he uses pleasure. You will think this is strange, but the devil loves to make people comfortable. Because once a man is addicted to comfort, he will avoid growth. He will resist discipline. He will label ambition as arrogance. He will trade destiny for dopamine. A generation trained to chase comfort will never challenge their rulers. This is how the devil works, not with pitchforks and flames, but with habits, influences, and cultural norms that sedate, confuse, and lull the mind into a passive state. And once the mind becomes passive, it is no longer yours. I have interviewed this force directly. I have extracted its methods, its tactics, its admissions, and I have documented it for the 1 in 10,000 who is ready to hear. The devil told me clearly, I control the majority of people simply because they refuse to think for themselves. Most people live in reaction. They wait for permission. They follow the crowd. They fear standing alone. They fear judgment more than failure. They obey without question, not out of virtue, but out of conditioning. And so the devil does not have to chase these people. They offer themselves freely. Now I will speak plainly. If you are not actively taking possession of your own mind, then someone or something already has it. You do not escape the devil by accident. You do not break free from drift without effort. You must seize your mind with intensity. You must claim your thoughts like a king claims his land. You must decide with finality that you will no longer be ruled by fear, by trends, by conditioning, or by weakness. The beginning of freedom is definiteness of purpose. This is the first antidote to drift. If you do not know where you are going, you are already drifting. The devil loves indecision. The man who wakes up each day with no mission, no goal, no burning desire, he is easy prey. But the man with a definite major purpose, he cannot be owned. He rises with fire. He moves with direction. He evaluates his choices based on alignment with his purpose.
How often do we do that? It's difficult. You have to create new habits, don't you? He's talking in the beginning about how we're all kind of controlled just to, eat, sleep, work, repeat, all this kind of stuff. How do you break that cycle so that you wake up in the morning with purpose, with a vision to act on something? Well, you've got to decide what it is that you want. Joey, you've heard Joey talk about this. You've got to know what you want. You've got to decide what you want. It doesn't matter whether it's a new job, whether you want to start a business, whatever it is. But you've got to you've got to decide, make a committed decision first on what you want. We hear Brian Tracy talking about writing down your goals. We hear Bob Proctor talk about writing down your goals. Joey's talked about having a goal card. I have mine here. Mine's laminated. Right? So, you've got to have your goal card, but it's one thing having it, another thing reading it, So, this stuff, and then the distractions, surrender to distractions. And we do, something happens, you have to go and deal with it. Addicted to comfort, bloody hell. We talk about the comfort zone a lot. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. You know, like how are you supposed to get to that thing that you want when that thing that you want is up here, and I'm still down here? You know, I have to transcend to that new level, which means I have to get outside of my comfort zone. I have to get out my own way, in a sense. Down. You know, I made a note of something there. I was talking a minute ago about taking action. And when I wrote it down, I wrote make action. You know, and don't you make action? You know, you have to make it first in your mind. You have to, see what it is that you're going to do, and then you do it. You know, so I don't know whether it's that might sound stupid to someone, but to me that sounds like it makes sense. Make action. You've got to make action. You know, like you make bread. You know, bread is the outcome, isn't it? But you make the bread. You make the bread. You know. So shit gets complicated all by itself. Maybe I'm making it complicated. Sometimes I think it's more simple. I think it is more simple. You know, I really do.
And because of this, he becomes self-possessed. You must choose that purpose for yourself. Not what others say is respectable, not what society says is safe. You must dig deep and ask, what do I truly want? What do I feel called to create? What do I wish to become? And when you find it, claim it, own it, write it, obsess over it, let it become the center of your mental world.
I just made a $27 ebook in 2 minutes using AI. Watch how I did it so you can do it too. Here I am in
Then you must apply self-discipline. Because without...
I actually had that software, that designer software, and it's not an ad for them, you know, because I'm sure when I bought it, it was still in the beta version and it was a, get it for life thing. And then when they made it like official, they changed all the licensing. I'm pretty sure that was the thing. But don't sue me if I'm wrong, right?
Discipline, even the best ideas dissolve into regret. Discipline is what separates the thinker from the doer. The drifter waits to feel ready. The disciplined man moves despite how he feels. He acts when others hesitate. He builds while others scroll. He develops habits that align with his purpose. And here's a truth the devil does not want you to know. Every act of discipline is an act of spiritual warfare. Every time you say no to distraction, yes to your higher self, yes to your goals, you are fighting back against the invisible forces of drift. You must also cultivate faith, not blind faith, but directed faith, a belief in yourself, in your vision, in your creator, and in the laws that govern the universe. Because when you believe that you were created with intention and endowed with creative power, you stop seeing yourself as a victim. You stop obeying fear. You begin to act with divine confidence. The devil cannot possess a mind filled with faith. He flees from purpose. He trembles at discipline. He cannot stand in the presence of belief. And yet, he waits patiently for most people to forget, to compromise, to surrender their will for convenience. But you who are listening, you have been warned. And with warning comes responsibility. You must now examine your life with brutal honesty. Where are you drifting? Where have you surrendered your mind? What habits have you allowed to become gateways for control? Who in your circle is speaking the devil's language of fear and limitation? You must cleanse your mind like a temple, purge the influences, redefine your standards, take possession of your attention. Your mind is the only territory the devil truly wants, because once he has that, he doesn't need anything else. But the reverse is also true. Once you own your mind, you cannot be owned by anyone or anything. You become free. And freedom, once tasted, makes drift unbearable. You cannot begin to...
It is true that. And I'd said this, and Joey and I have talked about this a lot, that once you, become aware, certainly, self-aware, that it's hard to make excuses. Everything's your fault. When everything goes right, it's your fault. When everything goes wrong, it's your fault, right? And it is. And you can't blame anybody else because there's no one to blame. You know, you either did it or you didn't do it. You either tried and you failed and you learned, and then you try again, you know, or you didn't try at all. You know, there is no trying. You know, who said that? Some Star Wars character, Yoda. There is only do, right? That's what it is. You know, there isn't any trying, there's only doing. You know, and if you fail, you learn. You know, and that's when, you know, it becomes easy to quit. You know, especially if you're not aware. Because if you're aware, you know, like I remember years ago. Let's see how many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, maybe. Yeah, at least that. And was doing this personal and business coaching course, diploma, and they were talking about doing courses and things like this. And then one of the coaches who was leading the course, he was like, well, you know, if you do a course and it doesn't work, well, that's just the universe telling you it's not going to work. You know, do something else. And I thought, hold on a second, that makes no sense to me. That just makes you a quitter. That means if you try something and you fail and then you quit, that's not the way it should be. You know, you try and you fail and you try again until you succeed. That's the way it should be. Until you know, like, you know, maybe it's a shit course that you've produced. You've got to produce a better course. You know, something that and not a course that you want, a course that people want. You know, so like, it's easy to quit. You know, Joey will tell you himself. You know, easy to do, easy not to do. The thing is to be disciplined. Joey talks about it a lot, discipline. Like, Joey's one of the most disciplined people that I know, right? And thank God for that. This hesitation thing has got me, you know, right? I've got to make action. Make action. Am I coming up with a new phrase here? Make action, not take action. Make action. You know, don't know. But that hesitation, I thought I was just waiting. Maybe I'm hesitating. Yeah, because obviously I'm trying to put this new thing together, and I'm waiting on a couple of software people, and maybe I shouldn't be waiting. Maybe I should be making something happen. If it's not going to happen with these guys, maybe it's going to happen with somebody else. Maybe that's what I'm figuring out here right now today. And there's definitely opportunity out there. There's no doubt that there is. You know, I've got this little voice in my head saying, "No, you want these people." You know, why? Is that the little devil in my ear? And then I've got a little angel on this ear going, "Yeah, no, do this, go in a different direction. You know, there's more software providers out there. Go and get this one. No, wait for this one. Just wait for this one. Why do I need to wait?" You know? Don't know. Damn. It was Joey's idea to watch this, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering. It was Joey's idea, right? I'm sure he'll catch the recording.
Free yourself from the devil's influence until you understand one core fact. The mind is either directed or dominated. There is no middle ground. You either use it or it will be used.
I was just talking about people in my head, those little voices, and I think we all have them, right? You know, we do. We must do. It can't just be me.
Used. And the devil knows this. That is why he has spent generations teaching men and women not how to think, but how to obey. How to fall in line, how to stay afraid. He conditions you to worship safety over freedom, to chase comfort over conviction, to value opinion over truth. He has worked through every institution, schooling, religion, government, media, to subtly erase the courage of independent thought. And what has it produced? An army of people who look alive on the outside but are dead within. People who wear masks of routine but live as prisoners of fear.
What would you tell a man who only performs when the deadline is on fire?
That's not a discipline problem.
People who laugh, who work, who socialize, but never take one bold step toward who they could become. This is not accidental. This is drift perfected. The devil's brilliance lies in this. He convinces people to call slavery freedom. He convinces you that your conditioned habits are your personality, that your insecurities are humility, that your fear of success is wisdom, that your craving for approval is kindness. And if you do not investigate your beliefs, you will live your entire life protecting the very prison that holds you. The moment you accept the idea that you were born to obey rather than born to create, the devil wins. But let us not dwell on the mechanisms of your captivity any longer. Let us now examine the path to liberation. The first and most urgent step you must take is to reestablish authority over your mind, not temporarily, not casually, not as a weekend exercise, but as a daily, deliberate act of sovereignty. You must watch your thoughts like a hawk. The average man allows anything to enter his mind, complaints, criticism, distractions, lies, and never questions their origin or their consequence. Would you let a thief enter your home, sit on your couch, and drink from your cup without resistance? Then why do you allow fear to settle in your thinking? Why do you allow mediocrity to become your inner dialogue? The devil enters through the doorway of passivity. You must close that door permanently. One of the greatest tools at your disposal is autosuggestion, the deliberate repetition of empowering, self-affirming statements until they imprint upon your subconscious mind. The devil does not fear your willpower in a moment. He fears your conditioning over time, because what you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes your reality.
Now that is the beauty of having this goal card, right? It really is, you know, because you can write down on it, you can have it and you can read it, and it just gives you control, it just gives you back control of your thoughts and your mind, because we do get distracted. We do get, dragged from pillar to post sometimes, and you need to come back and, bring your mind back to a place where it's focused on what it is that you want. It's hard to watch your thoughts all day. It is. It's hard to be deliberate, even though, when I say deliberate, deliberately watching your thoughts, deliberately changing, because we live from habit to habit, don't we? Instead of, guarding our time, because we don't know how much time we've got, but I'll do it tomorrow. No, do it now. It is funny, because he's when he's talking here, we never really do get an opportunity. It's not that often we get an opportunity to really just be ourselves, like how often do you just get to be yourself? And it's one of the reasons why I love what we do so much in our business, is because we do just get to be ourselves. Most times when people go to jobs or something, they get up in the morning, they get dressed, they do their hair, they put on a suit or put on some kind of clothing outfit that's made for work, and they put on this persona, and then they go to work and they act and walk and talk in that way, like they think they're supposed to, and then they come home and they're not really themselves again until they shrug that off, and get in their pajamas or whatever it is, and then they just start being themselves again. Like we were talking about this, with Heather King and Passmore Munger, who was with us last week, and Henny and Radka, and another group of us were talking about, identity and self-identity and, being our authentic selves. How do you be that way? And Bob Proctor talks about it. He talks about, if you want to be free, you've got to be me, but not the me that, your parents want you to be, your partner wants you to be, your friends want you to be, but the me you want to be, the me I want to be, and this can be very challenging, and again, it's one of the reasons why I love what we do, because when we go into that, there's only two things that I ask from the people that work in our organization. And one is that they turn up as the best version of themselves, and two is that they be personally responsible, and like, I don't think there's much wrong with that. I don't want someone to pretend to be an expert in something that they're not. I just want them to be the best version of themselves, and be personally responsible. And if someone can do those two things, we know if something goes wrong, it's not intentional. It's a system thing. It's a communication thing, and those things can be fixed. So, like, how do you become the best version of you? Well, the funny thing is, we were listening to something there the other day, and it kind of blew my mind, the simplicity of it. Like, even when you, and it was along the lines of, when you go to sleep, before you go to sleep, you act like you're sleeping, right? And that's so simple, and it's true. You go to sleep, and then you act like you're sleeping, and then you go to sleep, and then you fall asleep. So, if you want to be the best version of yourself, you have to act like the best version of yourself. Is that what it's saying? I think it is. You have to act like the best version of yourself. It's a challenge. It's a challenge because, he's talking here about, if you're going to act like that, you're going to act like the best version of yourself, people are going to shoot you down. They're going to be, no, you can't be like that. You can't be this way. You can't be that way. You can't think like that. You can't do this. You can't do that. They're going to tell you that you're not being yourself. How can the best version of yourself not be yourself? Maybe because you're not a nice person to begin with. Bloody hell. It's got to hurt, hasn't it? You're acting like the best version of yourself. People are saying, what do you want? Right? I don't know. Like, change is not easy. Well, it is easy when you want to change. If you want change, it's easy. But as a general rule, people are stuck in this comfort zone. That's what he's talking about. Being guided by the devil. Damn. I don't know. Joey, what did you get us into here?
You must therefore affirm, daily and deliberately, I am the master of my mind. I am the architect of my destiny. I do not drift, I decide. I do not fear, I focus.
See that? I am the architect of my destiny. That's make action. What does an architect do? He builds. He makes something. Make action. Yeah, I think I'm onto something here. Really do.
I do not follow, I lead. These are not empty words, these are weapons. When spoken with belief, they begin to rebuild the mental architecture the devil once owned. They begin to overwrite the programming of drift with the code of purpose. And now let us speak of environment. For no man is immune to his surroundings. The devil uses your environment as a constant source of influence.
AI opened every door in sales. Suddenly, you could reach anyone, anywhere, at any time. And so,
he surrounds you with people who speak his language.
I think I'm going to have to do a lot of editing in this video, right? Especially if I want to put it up on TikTok, which is probably where it'll go. As well as obviously LinkedIn, on YouTube at the moment. If you're here joining me, say hello. And of course, what's the other one? Facebook. Yep, of course. Say hello if you're on Facebook. Good to see you. Don't forget as well to, I've got my new gadget. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Look at that, I love it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that notification button. You'll learn when we're on. Usually around about the same time every week. And, look, Joey and I have a lot of fun doing this. And it is fun. And it makes a difference for me. And I know it makes a difference for Joey. We hope it makes a difference for you too. We really do. But look, let's listen to a little bit more of this. Or shall we leave it there, right? What time is it? So we're about 40 minutes in. We could leave it there and then we could pick up on this second part next week. He surrounds you with people who speak his language. I'm curious though, aren't you? I am curious. How long's left? We're about halfway through. Yeah, okay. Let's go.
People who gossip, who complain, who justify their inaction with spiritual-sounding nonsense like everything happens for a reason while refusing to take a single step of responsibility. You must be ruthless with your environment. Anything that dulls your purpose is an agent of the devil, whether it knows it or not. Eliminate it, replace it, upgrade it. Fill your space with reminders of your mission. Place your written purpose on your wall, on your desk, on your bathroom mirror. Read books that challenge your thinking, that confront your habits, that fuel your spirit. Surround yourself with people who think upward, people who refuse to drift, people who call you higher, not people who drag you down. And let us not forget the battlefield of time. The devil's second favorite tool after drift is delay. He whispers, there's no rush, you have time, just rest a little longer. And he knows every day you postpone your mission, you weaken your belief that it matters. Action is your liberation, not tomorrow, Now, the moment you act on your purpose, you sever the chains of passivity. The moment you pick up the pen, make the call, set the goal, show up, speak boldly, the devil loses control because he cannot possess a moving target. He can only haunt the man standing still. If you understood how much of your destiny is shaped in small moments, the moment you choose to rise early or sleep in, to read truth or consume noise, to act boldly or delay once again, you would never drift again. The devil is not defeated in one grand gesture. He is defeated daily through discipline. This is why you must build rituals, habits that align with your higher self. Wake up with gratitude. Feed your mind before your body. Create before you consume. Reflect before you react. These are not empty routines. These are acts of rebellion, each one a blow against the hypnotic rhythm the devil uses to lull men into mediocrity. And let me now speak to your fear, for fear is the devil's oxygen. He will use every possible fear to make you shrink. Fear of what others think, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of success, fear of embarrassment. But hear me now. Your fear is not a warning, it is a compass. Whatever you fear most, that is where your freedom lives. The devil told me himself he only controls those who allow fear to govern their decisions. But the moment you begin to act in spite of fear, the illusion begins to crack. Fear fades when faced. Action kills it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. And every act of courage weakens the devil's grip. You must train yourself to lean into fear. Public speaking, starting a business, saying no, telling the truth, pursuing your vision, these are not terrifying. They are tests. And you pass them with action. And now I will tell you something few men ever understand. The devil cannot stop a man who is driven by service. If your mission is only to serve yourself, the devil will feed your ego until it becomes your cage. But if your purpose is to uplift others, to speak truth, to build something eternal, to shine light into dark places, then your power multiplies beyond measure. The devil fears the man whose ambition is rooted in service, because such a man cannot be bought, he cannot be manipulated, he cannot be distracted. His mission is too important, his life too meaningful. And now, if you are still listening, you must be wondering, can a man ever be fully free of the devil? I will answer with this. Freedom is not an event, it is a practice. Each day, you live in alignment with your purpose. Each time you choose discipline over drift, belief over fear, clarity over confusion, you are winning, you are free, you are awake. You may still be tempted, you may still stumble, but the difference is now you know, and knowledge, when applied, is the devil's death sentence. You are not like the others. You are no longer asleep. You are not drifting. You are deciding. And the more you decide, the more you build, the more you think with purpose and act with faith, the devil no longer owns your mind. He may speak, but you will not hear. He may whisper, but you will not obey. Because now you are in control. Once a man understands how the devil works, the burden of responsibility becomes absolute. You cannot unsee what has been revealed. You cannot return to comfort and drift and passive living without knowing deep in your bones that you are choosing your own destruction. For the greatest trick the devil has played is convincing people that they are free, while they live as slaves to their environment, their emotions, their fears, and their unconscious habits. But once you wake up, once you seize your mind, once you break from the hypnotic rhythm that has ruled your thinking, you no longer get to pretend. You are now responsible for everything. Your time, your attention, your growth, your influence, and most of all, your choices. Because now you know that every single day you are either aligning with your Creator or submitting to the control of the adversary. There is no neutrality in life. You are always moving in one direction or the other. Growth or decay, strength or surrender, purpose or passivity, vision or drift. Now let us look deeper into this final truth. The devil can only rule where your will is weak. His power is not absolute. It is borrowed. He gains access through your lack of decision, your lack of faith, your failure to discipline your own impulses. If you wish to defeat the devil's influence for good, you must become a master of your will. You do this by refusing to negotiate with weakness. You no longer ask, do I feel like it? You no longer wait for motivation. You no longer explain your inaction. You do the thing that must be done, regardless of comfort, regardless of fear, regardless of mood. This is willpower in action. And willpower is not born, it is built. Every time you follow through on your word, your will grows. Every time you deny temptation, your will strengthens. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, your will sharpens into a blade the devil cannot dull. But you must train it every single day. For if you stop even briefly, the hypnotic rhythm begins to creep back in. Now let us speak of the company you keep, for this may be the single greatest influence on your mind aside from your own thoughts. The devil works through people, through their attitudes, through their fear, through their weakness, through their small-mindedness. And if you spend your time with people who drift, you will begin to drift with them, not by force, but by osmosis. Be honest now. Who do you spend time with? Do they challenge your excuses or validate them? Do they fan the flames of your purpose or smother them with sarcasm and apathy? Do they build or do they belittle? You must choose your associations like you choose your thoughts, deliberately. Cut the ones who weaken you, elevate the ones who call you higher, and if no one around you matches your vision, then walk alone until you find them. Better solitude in truth than company in drift. And now let us look at how the devil thrives in the modern world, through endless...
It's funny because, Bob Proctor talked about it a lot. Joey's talked about it. I think Bob Proctor was talking about, he was sitting in this bar looking around and he was going, oh my God, this place is full of bums. And then he was like, well, I must be a bum too, right? And then that was it. He never went back in a bar or in that bar anyway, and that's it. It's about recognizing where you are sometimes, and who you're with. No, I don't know. I'm not saying for a second that you need to turn your life upside down, but you do need to take stock, right? You need to take stock of where you are, who's around you, who's encouraging you, who's supporting you, who's dragging you down. I don't know what that means for you, but well, if you're here, you're around good people here, I think. We wanted to see you win. We want to see you succeed. I tell you, this stuff is deep. It's worth watching it again, though. It's worth watching it. And you can find it on YouTube. Obviously, if you just type in how the devil controls most people's minds, Napoleon Hill, you'll find it on YouTube. It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. It's worth a study. Especially if you're trying to do something. If you're looking for change, if you're looking to make a change in your life, it's worth understanding what to do. And then, of course, reach out to Joey, reach out to me, and we'll try and help you, get you on that right path.
Distraction. The devices in your hands, the noise in your ears, the images on your screens, they are designed not to educate you, but to capture you. Every app, every alert, every flashing headline is a net. And once your attention is gone, your mind is no longer yours. You must train your mind to focus again. You must reclaim the power of deep, undistracted thought. This is where your ideas live. This is where your purpose refines. This is where your vision expands. Block time to think, to write, to read, to plan. These are sacred acts in a world that no longer values them. The devil cannot enter a focused mind. You must protect your focus like a treasure, because that's what it is. Let me also remind you of this. You are the gatekeeper of your inner world. The devil may knock, but you decide who enters. He may tempt, but you choose how to respond. He may distract, but you determine your focus.
Did you ever do that? Did you ever have a magnifying glass, right? And you're able to hold it over something and you can see this thing perfectly well. But then if you move your hand, you lose focus. It loses focus, right? You don't see it anymore. Like he's talking about keeping your focus. Like that takes a lot of discipline, doesn't it? To keep your focus. A lot of willpower, to maintain your focus. Imagine, you've got your magnifying glass, you've got the sun, you're trying to set fire to a little bit of wood, trying to get a fire started, right? With the magnifying glass, and you're trying to, start a fire, right? You'd have to keep that pretty focused, wouldn't you? You'd have to maintain that focus until it started to smoke, and then, then it starts to blaze, all right? That's not going to happen quickly, is it? You're going to have to be very still, right? And once you get the focus, once you get the exact kind of like where it needs to be, you got to hold it there, keep it there, not move, be very, oh my God, like some of these words, we just use them so willy-nilly without really thinking about what they actually means, to hold your focus, hold your concentration, be disciplined. Like these words just roll off the tongue too easy without actually understanding what it is that's being said.
And every choice either strengthens or weakens your gate. So you must become a man of standards. What thoughts do you allow? What emotions do you entertain? What influences do you consume? What habits do you repeat? What vision do you pursue? A man with high standards is a fortress, and the devil has no tools for such a fortress. He is powerless against the man who guards his mind, sharpens his will, disciplines his body, and directs his energy toward a purpose bigger than himself. This leads us to one of the final, most powerful laws, the law of service. The devil cannot defeat the man who lives for something greater than himself. When your mission is to serve, to inspire, to uplift, to lead, to build, to impact, the devil's grip weakens. Because now your actions are no longer rooted in ego, in vanity, in status, they are rooted in truth. You cannot drift when your cause is clear. You cannot be manipulated when your values are strong. You cannot be silenced when your voice belongs to a greater mission. That is why the devil fears leaders. Real leaders. Those who live with integrity, who build with conviction, who speak with clarity and serve with humility, because such men become immune to drift. Their thoughts are too focused. Their faith is too solid. Their habits are too refined. Their environment is too intentional. Their life is too aligned. Now let me give you the final weapon, the one the devil hates most, gratitude.
Hi there! Would you like to receive a gift? I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this is...
It may seem simple, but it is not weak. Gratitude is a shield. When practiced daily, it rewires your brain, it strengthens your spirit, it kills fear, it destroys envy, it silences doubt. The man who lives in gratitude cannot drift. He cannot be controlled. Because he is grounded in abundance, he sees opportunity everywhere. He acts not from lack, but from strength. Every morning, remind yourself, I have been given another day to win, another day to build, another day to live awake, aware, and on purpose. Thank your Creator. Thank your mind. Thank your challenges, for they are shaping you. Thank your past, for it has taught you. Thank your enemies, for they have sharpened your will. Gratitude is not softness, it is power. It puts you in control. Now, let us return to where we began. The devil controls most people's minds, but not because he is strong, because they are unaware, because they drift, because they obey without question, because they live without purpose and fear without reason. But not you, not anymore. You now know how he works. You now see the game. You now hold the tools. The only question that remains is, will you use them? Will you take full control of your mind every day without exception? Will you choose purpose over comfort? Will you reject fear even when it screams? Will you break from the masses and walk the path of discipline, faith, focus, and freedom? Will you become a man the devil cannot control? You can, and you must, because the world is starving for such men. Men who think, who act, who lead, who build, who decide. Men who live not as prisoners of fear, but as protectors of truth. That is who you are now. No more drifting, no more delay. You are free. And the devil no longer owns your mind.
Wow, that was a lot to take in, wasn't it? You probably want to watch that a couple of times, if I'm honest. I probably will. And look, if you want to, look, just go to YouTube, search How the Devil Controls Most People's Minds, Napoleon Hill, and you can watch that back. It's a lot to take on board, I know it sounds stupid, it's not stupid, like it's just a lot to take in. This thing of being, constantly in control, like, when do you ever get a day off? Maybe that's the goal. The idea is not to get a day off. Maybe the idea is to be aware all of the time, to be focused all of the time, to be constantly, on purpose all of the time. Maybe in purpose, I don't know. But look, that's a lot. There's a lot to go through there. I hope you've enjoyed today. I really have. Don't forget, look, this is episode 141, Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, How the Devil Controls Most People's Minds. Telling you, did this help anybody think and do better? It should do. Like, it absolutely should do. It should make you better, right? If you apply it, if you take what you learn and apply it, it should make you better. If you want better, maybe you don't want better. Maybe you're just happy in the comfort zone that you're in. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about this comfort zone is the devil. Oh my God. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Is it okay to be content? Is it okay to have a lack of ambition? Is it okay to settle for what you've got? And, I think you can be, Joey's talked about this before. You can be grateful for what you've got, right? You can be grateful for everything that you have, everything that you've got, all of the people in your life, but you don't have to settle for what you've got. You can still want more. You can still want to be more. You can still want to do more. And again, look, he's talking about service, and service to many leads to greatness. That's not my phrase. A good friend of mine, Heather King, she always says, shine in your service to others. That's what I'm talking about in that as well. Being the best version of yourself, and I'm not talking about, giving yourself away, spreading yourself so thin that you don't leave anything for anybody else. Like I was like that. That was what I was like, before. Like I would be working so hard, in fact, I'd just come in the evening and say, I'm home, honey, leftovers again, because that's all she got. She got leftovers of me, because I spent so much time, giving myself away, to the people that work in my organization, our customers, everybody else, our suppliers, everybody else, that I wasn't, taking the time, to be with, the people that I love the most. And, look, life's tough, but, you can work your way through anything, don't get stuck. It's easy to get stuck. We've all been stuck. I'm being honest here, right? I'm saying that, I'm using an excuse of waiting And it is like clearly I'm making an excuse about it. I'm saying I'm waiting. I'm saying sometimes you have to wait. Yeah, sometimes you do have to wait, but I can make something else happen. I can make something else happen. I can do something differently to still achieve the outcome that I want. Why am I waiting? I don't need to wait. I can take action, getting hard on myself now, right? Okay. Damn. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, click the notification button. You'll learn when we're on. Joe and I will be back next week around about the same time. And don't forget, you can find Joey on his socials at Facebook, facebook.com/Joey.Unga, and of course on his business website, joeyunga1.isogenics.com/en-au. Go and check him out there. And of course, you can find me on our petsoftheisland.com academy website. Reach out, get in touch. Love to have a call with you and share what we're doing. Maybe it's going to be right for you. Maybe, maybe not. If it is, great. If it's not, that's okay too. But look, I'm going to play out with my favorite video. Everything's in this. It really is. This stuff you just have to plug into every day. Become that best version of yourself. Act, walk, talk like you're already there. Act like you're going to sleep, right? You do. You act like you're sleeping first before you sleep. You act it. You have to act it first. It could be more simple than what it is. But what does Joey say? Make a committed decision. Make a committed decision. Decide what you want and make a committed decision. No more complicated than that, right? Right. See you next week.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. And you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.